In this video, I'm gonna show you the fastest way to move through the water. Then I'm gonna show you how you can apply these skills to swim faster and smarter than ever before. Breaststroke is by far and away the slowest way to move through the water. Even the fastest swimmers in the world can only move 2.17 yards per second. That's only 4.4 miles per hour or 7.1 kilometers per hour. This is barely faster than a brisk walk through the park. And backstroke isn't that much faster either. The best backstrokers in the world, I'm talking like world-class, world record pace, moving 2.5 yards per second. That's 5.1 miles per hour. 8.2 kilometers an hour. Now that's a little bit better, and sure, you're floating on your back and you can breathe the whole time, but it's still not that fast, is it? How about butterfly? 2.55 yards per second. Butterfly is a little bit faster than backstroke. That's 5.2 miles per hour, and then that's only 8.4 kilometers per hour. We're getting faster, but we're not there yet. Well, how about front crawl? We typically refer to freestyle as front crawl. They are two different things. Front crawl is where you're on your stomach. It's a long axis stroke, the inverse of backstroke. And if you go world record pace, I'm talking Caleb Dressel's speed in a 50-yard freestyle. We take in his 17-second 50. You break that apart, that's 2.8 yards per second. That's 5.7 miles per hour, which is 9.2 kilometers an hour. That's actually pretty fast. Now you're at near jogging pace for most people, and they're doing it in the water, and that's pretty incredible. But yes, there is a faster way to move through the water than freestyle or front crawl, and you guessed it, that's underwater swimming. That is the fifth stroke, and if you're new to swimming, this might be news to you. You're like, wait a second, I thought freestyle front crawl is the fastest way you can move. You can move pretty fast with freestyle, and you can move even faster with the underwater dolphin kick, and we're gonna break down how you actually do that, the physics, and how you can apply this to your stroke a little bit later. But let's talk about how fast you can actually go in these underwater scenarios. And notice how I broke it up into underwater streamline on the front and underwater streamline on the back. There is a difference. So on the front, the fastest a human can go, the fastest a human male can go is 3 yards per second, which is 6.1 miles per hour. That's 9.8 kilometers an hour. Now, if you flip it over and you're on your back underwater, the fastest a human can go on their back underwater in streamline is 3.1 yards per second, which is 6.3 miles an hour. That's 10.2 kilometers an hour. Now, real quick, the reason why you can actually kick faster on your back as compared to your stomach is pretty simple. Unlike a fish, we as humans are not built symmetrically. If you think about the way you do a dolphin kick, even a flutter kick, you have a different range of motion and strength forward compared to backwards. Imagine you're gonna go kick a soccer ball, how much power and how much range of motion you have with your leg. Now imagine trying to do the inverse of that. You're trying to kick the ball behind you. You're not gonna have as much control, as much strength, power, speed, flexibility, all that stuff. The same thing applies with the kick. You have more power in one direction of the kick than in the other. So when you're on your back, you actually have gravity to help you out on what's called the down kick. That's engaging your lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. So you have gravity helping you with the weaker part of the kick, so that way you can recover that part faster to get to the more powerful part where you're kicking with the front of your core. That's your hip flexors and your quads all the way through your toes. That's a quick explanation of why kicking on your back underwater is faster than on your stomach, and that's how the fastest human can go 10 kilometers an hour. Now that sounds pretty good. Not when you compare it to the black marlin or a sailfish, which can clock 128 kilometers an hour. That's literally 12 times the speed of the fastest human. So I have this beautiful illustration here on the board, and we're gonna use this to explain how you move through the water more efficiently, and we're gonna learn how fish can move through the water 12 times faster than a person. Now think about this illustration as maybe a boat or a torpedo or your body moving through the water. Now when we see this illustration, we have this resistance, and that's the water. We always have to keep in mind that water is 800 times more dense than air. So you're moving through this medium, and imagine this illustration right here is one water molecule. Now what's happening is as your body or the ship or whatever is moving through the water, the water molecule is actually going to start to rotate to basically make room because you're displacing water. And that's why it's so hard to swim, because you're moving through this medium, you're displacing these water molecules, and as you displace them, you're rotating them and they start to spin around your body. So if you notice, on one side they're spinning clockwise and on the other side they're going counterclockwise. And so what happens is they spin and they actually create this vortex on either side of your body moving through the water. And then all of these molecules, when they collide, they create turbulence. And that's why if you're ever by a boat or a jet ski or someone swims by you really fast, you can actually feel the wake of their body or of the object that's moving. And that's because of all the turbulence, all the water that's being displaced. And there's actually a name for this. This is called the vortex street. So if you have like an aerial view or maybe from a drone shot of someone swimming or a boat moving, you'll actually see the water displacement around it. It creates like a beautiful V shape. And that's what your body is doing in the water. And that's actually really inefficient, because what's happening is you're moving through this water that is 800 times more dense than air. And as you move through this medium, you're displacing all of this water. So if you can make your body more narrow, you're actually going to displace less water and you're going to swim faster. But even in streamline, why is it that a fish can move 12 times as fast as a person? Well, I'll tell you what, if I spent that much time underwater, I'd probably grow gills and dance my heart out with Nemo and Dory. Just kidding. But really, if I spent 24/7 underwater, I'd want to at least listen to my favorite tunes, and that's where Underwater Audio comes in, the official music player of My Swim Pro. With their waterproof music players, you can listen to your favorite music, podcasts, or audiobooks while you swim. And if you want to swim to a beat, check out the Delphin. It's a touch-screen music player that's compatible with Spotify, Pandora, and Audible. The Delphin clips onto your goggle strap and comes with a waterproof swim bud headphones that stay in place even through fast swims and turns. You can barely feel them while you're swimming, and they're watertight, so you won't miss a second of your favorite podcast. They also have bone conduction headphones, so if you're in the market for a waterproof music player, definitely check them out. Head over to the link in the description and use the code for 10% off. Thanks again to Underwater Audio for sponsoring this video. Now let's check in with Dory and Nemo for a swim lesson. Bruno, what happened to Dory and Nemo? In any case, let's talk about how fish can swim so fast. And it really comes down to the physics that I just talked about. What they're able to do is they're able to basically wiggle their way through the water, and they're able to flick the water back and forth. And their bodies are designed, or their form factor is designed to do this way more efficiently than a human can. So when you think about a fish moving through the water, whether it's a shark or any kind of fish, what they're basically doing is they're creating forward momentum, because when these vortexes are spinning, the fact that they're able to actually rotate and flick their tail means that these vortexes cross paths, and it actually creates forward momentum to drive them. So for example, if you see these molecules of water behind a fish, when you have this rotation, maybe not rotation, but this wave pattern, it's actually gonna flip the water molecules to the opposite side. So the water molecules that were rotating clockwise are now gonna be rotating counterclockwise. So this is gonna happen over here. And as you can see, when they collide, it actually creates like thrust and forward propulsion. So they're not only more narrow through the water, and that's the 800 times more dense than air component, but they're able to use physics to their advantage to propel them forward. A fish can also use 100% of their body's surface area, all the way from the front to the back, to give them that forward momentum and propulsion through the water. And we as humans aren't that flexible, and we can't do that. But there are a few things that we can take away from fish so that we can swim faster. Now, one of them is what I just explained. It's using all of the planes of motion and training like that, so that way we can really maximize the amount of surface area that we have with the water. So we as humans will never be able to do what a fish can do, but we can get pretty close. And what we can do is we can train, for example, the dolphin kick on our stomach, on our back, on our right side, on our left side. And you can train your body in different ways to really develop this feel of the water, which is not natural for us as humans. This is another reason why when you put fins on, you can go so much faster underwater, because you can really leverage your strength by extending your body line, and you have that added flexibility. So if you want to swim like a fish, tip number one is to kick in every plane of motion. This applies to all the different strokes as well. Yes, we want to reduce our drag because water is so dang dense, but also we want to train to have that feel of the water just like a fish has. Now, the next way to leverage fish qualities into your own swimming is to be consistent, because the effort compounds. So we're talking about underwater dolphin kick and how to swim really fast. You want to swim on top of the water if you're not doing the underwater, to minimize the amount of surface area that you're touching. But if you're not doing it consistently, it's not really going to work. There's a reason why fish are really good, because they're underwater 24/7. For us as humans, maybe you'll swim 1 or 2 hours per day, but there's 23 hours of the day that you're not in the water. So it's so much more important that we are consistent, whether it's every single day, every other day, however often you swim, you're thinking about these things and you're trying to apply them to maximize every single second that you have in the water. The effort will compound. Now, the third thing to keep in mind if you want to swim like a fish is to improve your flexibility both in and out of the water. The fish has incredible flexibility. They are able to move from their entire frame, all the way from this guy's eye, all the way through the tail. And this flexibility has evolved over hundreds, thousands of years, and we as humans can learn from that by improving our flexibility. You can do that out of the water. You can add equipment in the water. So fins, I mentioned, are a great example to improve your ankle flexibility. That's something we have a lot of control over when it comes to flexibility in the water. You can also stretch out your hips, your quads, your hamstrings, all of that good stuff. And then there's training. It's really important that you actually apply these skills to your training. And if you're looking for a way to do that, you got to check out the My Swim Pro app for iPhone and Android. Get a personalized training program just for you. Now, if you want to learn how to take your swimming to the next level and swim faster and smarter than ever before, you're going to check out this video right over here. I'll see you over there, and happy swimming.